Hello, happy Wednesday. Happy Wellness Wednesday. My name is Dr. Patty Ann Ford, and I work with people in their habits of thinking. And I want to look at their health and, at the simplest form, shift their habits of thinking to long-lasting health in their business, health in their life, health in their relationships. And I can measure it for free. I can measure it for free on your phone in 10 minutes. And if you are interested to look at your subconscious thought patterns in a very clinical, objective way, I'll post the link here and pin it. And it's free, and I can debrief for free and have a conversation with you on what you would like to see in your life. But I titled this live, "What happens when you go to the doctor and the doctor tells you to lose weight? What happens after that?" There's so many nuances to this. We are in a society where weight loss can be very obsessive. It can become this measure of health. It can become this measure of wealth in terms of, how you show up in the world. It can definitely affect your psyche. It can affect so many different things, identity. But I want to talk about, when the doctor tells you that weight loss it can be a noun. It can be, or weight can be a noun. It can be just the state of existence that your body is in. But weight loss is actually an outcome. You can't literally squeeze a weight loss muscle. You have to do other things to change the shape of your body. Other things have to happen in order for your body to shift either in muscle growth or fat loss. And it's not an uncommon diagnosis of, you're overweight or however you want to term it. I do want to have a disclaimer. I do want to put out there, I've been in the health and wellness industry for 20 years. I have a PhD in preventive medicine. It's not beyond me how sensitive this topic can be. And when you're talking about your own body, when you're talking about other people's body, to really have some kindness, a level of kindness to yourself, kindness to other people, because it can feel very sensitive. Have a lot of compassion, knowing that there might be a terrain of a life that is just really rocky around this subject, and just a lot of love when approaching this subject. And so sometimes a doctor won't have any of those qualities when you're having a conversation about your weight or your body, and sometimes they do. So when I'm talking to you about it today, come at it with, how can I be kind? How can I be compassionate? How can I just be very loving with this very sensitive subject? So the doctor gives you this directive to lose weight, but again, that's an outcome. It would be like if you go to your financial advisor and they say, okay, we want you to have $1 million. It is quite literally impossible to snap your fingers or to make a sale, and I guess it could happen, and boom, now you have $1,000 sitting in your bank account. There's so many, or $1 million. There's so many things that need to happen over time consistently to see that outcome in your financial health. And so in your physical health, for weight loss to happen, so many things have to happen consistently over time to change the shape of your body. If changing the shape of your body becomes a health concern of obsession, where you're not able to eat with joy, you're not able to eat with presence, there's lack of flexibility, then the weight loss is actually more harmful. And that's where I spend a lot of my career, that's where I spent a lot of my clinical world, was in eating disorders, where talking about bodies and the obsession with weight in Western medicine, there's a lot of belief that weight loss can cure or lessen the effects of chronic disease. And I want to kind of just leave a question to consider, that those of normal weight still suffer from chronic disease and pain. And so weight can be associated with those things, but not always the case. Weight loss isn't always the answer to some of life's hardest medical concerns. And sometimes it can be. Separating your weight from your worth, if I were to write the word weight on here and worth on here, we want to keep that separate, where your weight does not define your worth, and your worth isn't dictated by how much you weigh. But I also want to give you autonomy, where sometimes you do want to change the scale. You do want to change how much you weigh because of just certain really appropriate things that can happen in navigating your medical health. So I'm speaking to that, where you do have autonomy with how you want to show up in the world, if it's appropriate and it can check all the other boxes in your life, that you're able to show up socially, you're able to show up financially, you're able to show up with connection and with joy, and you're able to experience food in a really present and joyful way, which is really, really hard to do, by the way. Okay, so what happens is the doctor gives you the directive, and then my question is the doctor involved in any of the behaviors that are needed towards this outcome of change of weight? And what would those behaviors be? So at the most simple form, you can change your food patterns. The change of food patterns can be in the quantity that you're eating, the quality of food, the timing of your food intake, the food preparation, the food acquisition, the environment in which you eat. All of these factors go into food. It's not just about the what. There's so many other layers that you can look at to enhance what, how, who, where, when, why that you're eating. And a professional that has studied food and has been around with food and people would be clinically a dietitian. You do have people that have doctors or a professional that's giving you weight loss, I guess, diagnosis or weight loss intervention that has a personal interest. And they might have a personal interest that anecdotally they have found to be true. That's typically fats. So that's typically, keto or intermittent fasting, or it could be carb counting, it could be macro counting, could be plant-based. And so some of these do have scientific correlations with health outcomes. And some of them people have personally tried, have found a lot of success, and then have used that success as a megaphone to have very significant platforms for this lifestyle. So again, I'm not knocking any of them, I'm not promoting any of them, but when you have someone giving you personal food advice, I want to let that be a red flag, let that be a caution. As, are they telling you because they personally like it or they personally have found success? And that's not a bad thing. Are they asking enough questions to see if this is of value to you? And that would be probably the top tier health professional, coach, whatever, label you want to do it. If that person in your life is helping you figure out what is best for you, what is going to help you get to the goal or the outcome that you want with your body or your disease, or whatever measure of health is going to kind of figure out if you're creating success. In this terms, the doctor is saying weight. Okay, so is the weight loss appropriate? Is it realistic? So besides what you're eating, you want to kind of think about and dialogue and process the goal. Is it something that is actually attainable? Because sometimes people walk into my office and they have these goals and they're not realistic. That can be true of any goal in your life. Sometimes people come into goals with financial goals or whatever, and they're great fantasies, they're great dreams, but they're not realistic. And so part of the work that I do with Saint, I'm in a leader thread, and we were talking about how a lot of times in business, and this could be true of your health, people lack clarity, they lack reality, and they lack belief with goals. They're great ideas. An idea is just an idea. A dream is just a dream, but a goal takes action steps. And so are you clear with your weight loss goals? Are you being realistic with those goals? Do you believe that you can do them? A lot of times my work is people lack belief in who they are as a person. So if you don't believe in yourself as a person, why would you spend time on something that you don't believe worthy enough to spend time with? Why would you take care of it in terms of movement? Why would you take care of it in terms of very nutrient dense foods? Because it doesn't matter. I don't matter. So if I don't matter, then I'm not going to spend time with myself. If my body is an ugly piece of crap, why would I take care of it? And so reality, clarity, and belief are all things that I work on my practice on. Are you really clear with what you want? And a lot of times people don't know what they want. They're not attuned with what actually their goals are. Their doctor just told them. Okay. So the what of food is what a dietitian can do, and then the reality, the clarity, and the belief is what a coach would do, is what I would do, is we're going to get really clear with what you want. And sometimes you don't know, and that's okay. A good question on, okay, when I'm having a goal or when I have something in my mind, 2 qualifying questions. What do I want to feel? And what do I want to have within this goal? And so sometimes people say, I just want to feel relief. Okay, that means you're in pain and you just want the pain to go away. That's different than moving forward towards something new. And they're healing and forward motion can be done at the same time. It's tricky, but typically healing is a whole nother process than moving forward. And some can do them tandemly. Some have to focus on one or the other. And that's what I hope you do. So we find clarity with what you want, a reality of what it's going to take to get there, and really mapping it out and having the honest and sometimes really hard conversations. I know with my coach, it was just like, the way I was thinking about things wasn't reality. I was expecting this picture. I have the tendency to, I have very fantastical thinking. I can dream really big. And then I apply that to things that aren't really there, and I'm expecting them to show up in a different way. And then I get let down. And that is true when you have this fantastical weight loss goal that actually can't happen. You're not set up for that in terms of your genetics, in terms of your history, in terms of just your environment. And so it's just having a really safe and compassionate and kind conversation that might not exist. Not to squash hope, but to have a conversation on what would need to happen for that goal to exist. And sometimes it's not healthy. Starving yourself, overexerting yourself for a vapid goal to feel accepted or to feel seen is a lie that sometimes that we tell yourself. But the truth is, because you're a human, you are valid. Because you're a human, you deserve to be seen, you deserve to be heard. And we live in a really, really hard world where sometimes that doesn't happen in your environment or in your community. And then the belief in yourself, we talked about that a little bit, is where I would spend time and just really pouring into whatever state that you're in, believing that your body is good. Believing your body is worthy and has value. And sometimes when you grow up in a diet culture that the goal is this Eurocentric thin ideal, anything beyond that or anything other than that is not good enough. And you're so opposite of that, that can make you feel, and the belief in your body, that can make you feel pretty crappy. So we'll work on that too. And we could do all 3. We could do 1. I love working with people in really intimate spaces and getting to the hard conversations and the root of it. And that can be scary and that can be really hard. And if you're willing to do it, that can be very, very courageous. So at the top tier iceberg, what you see would be a dietitian would do, working on the transactional food. What are you eating? How are you eating? Why are you eating? Where are you eating? Who are you eating with? All of those things. But then the habits of thinking that are going to help dictate and make those things that we're just talking about the top of the iceberg easy to flow is what I like to do. But we can just talk with the iceberg, but I really like to talk about what's going on underneath. So if you have any questions, if your doctor has told you to lose weight and you're trying to navigate how, I can definitely help uncover some of those ways you could or want to do that, or you get to do that. All right, happy Wellness Wednesday. Thanks for hanging in there if you watched, and talk to you soon. Okay, bye.